Welcome, my name is Jerry Sudarine, and today's lesson will look at how are conversion tables for units of time similar to the conversion tables for length, weight, and capacity. How are they different? Before we get into today's lesson, we're going to be looking at time, measurements of time. So the measurements of times are in hours, minutes, and seconds, and I provided a guide to where we can locate that if we have a clock that looks like this, as well as we're going to be familiar with some of the conversions. So we know here that 1 hour equals 60 minutes. If we're looking between hours and minutes. If we are looking between hours and seconds, we know that 1 hour equals 360 seconds. And lastly, we have 1 minute equals 60 seconds. So we're going to go into today's lesson. So here we can convert minutes to seconds using the table. So think about how you would complete this table. We know that 1 minute equals 60 seconds. Think about how you would complete 2 minutes. How many seconds would that be? 3 minutes, how many seconds? And so on to 10. Okay, so pause the video and we'll compare your answers to the ones on the next slide. Okay, so we know that 1 minute equals 60 seconds. So what we can do is multiply the number of minutes by the number of seconds to get the total number of seconds. So for example, if we're looking at 4 minutes, we can multiply 4 by 60 and we get 240 seconds. So 240 seconds equals 4 minutes. And again, we're just multiplying the number of minutes by 60. Okay, we're going to go into a math word problem. It took a space shuttle 8 minutes and 36 seconds to launch and reach outer space. How many seconds did it take? Pause the video, think about how you would work through this problem, and we'll compare your answers on the next slide. Here, we want to break down the problem. And for here, we know we can provide students that 1 minute equals 60 seconds. So we can have students read and annotate the problem, and we can write out 8 minutes, 36 seconds, and we want to convert everything here into seconds. It's important to display that 1 minute equals 60 seconds, and we can multiply 60 with 8. We bring that number down to 480. And we're going to add the 36 because it's already in seconds. So let's just make sure that students don't get confused with that and that they're just leaving it alone and not manipulating this number. And then when we add the two values, we get 516 seconds. And that would be the answer here. Now we're going to look at another slide. Here we're going to look at 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So here we're looking at if we have 1 hour, it equals 60 minutes. If we have 2 hours, how many minutes would that be? And so on. So again, pause the video, think about how you would complete this chart, and we'll compare your answers on the next slide. Okay, so very similar to the minutes to seconds, the conversion from hours to minutes is also 60 seconds. So that can be very helpful for students to know this, and we can reiterate this to our students. So again, we want our students to think about we're multiplying the number of hours with the number of minutes to get the total number of minutes in the indicated hour. So here, let's say if we have 7 hours, we know that we can multiply by 60 and we get 420. So 420 minutes equals 7 hours. Okay, we're going to look at a math problem. And the astronauts from Apollo 17 completed 3 spacewalks while on the moon for a total of 22 hours, 4 minutes. How many minutes did the astronauts walk in space? So pause the video, think about how you would work through this problem, and we'll compare your answers on the next slide. So for here, we know that what is going to be helpful for students is that 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So we're going to take the value of 22 hours, 4 minutes, and we're going to look at converting hours to minutes. And again, we want to make sure that students do not manipulate the 4 minutes because it's already in minutes. So we're going to take 22, multiply it by 60, giving us 1,320. We're going to add the 4, giving us our answer of 1,324 minutes. Okay, now we're going to look at some additional practice questions. Okay, so here we have another problem, and then what we can do is think about how many we're going to convert hours to minutes. Okay, so we can pause the video and move on. Here we know that we want students to highlight that we're starting out with 6 hours. We're going to go into minutes. So therefore 1 hour equals 60 minutes. And we're going to multiply 60 by the 6 hours, giving us the answer of 360 minutes. Here's another problem. How many seconds are there in 14 minutes, 43 seconds? So pause the video, think about how we can support our students with this. On the next slide, we know that 1 minute equals 60 seconds. And again, we want to encourage students to convert the minutes to seconds. And since seconds are already in this unit, we're not doing anything to it. So we manipulate these. First number, 14 times 60, gives us 840. We're going to add it to the 43, giving us a grand total of 883 seconds. Okay. Here are some additional practice problems, and we can have students allow them to work through these problems and see what they can come up with, and we can assess their learning based on this. We can also see if there's any issues with converting hours to minutes, minutes to seconds, or they manipulate the units that are already in minutes. So for here, we want them to encourage them that minutes, we don't have to do anything. We need to just manipulate the hours to minutes. So on the next slide, we're going to look at some of the answers to this. And here's a good visual that we can provide to students to show them how to work through each of the problems. Lastly, we're going to go into our summarization. So how are conversion tables for units of time like the conversion tables we made for units of length, weight, and capacity? A conversion table helps us figure out the pattern or rule between two units of measurement. So in this example here, we're converting between hours and minutes, and we can develop a rule. If we're going to convert hours to minutes, we're going to multiply by 60. Hope this was helpful, and have a great day.